Welcome back to the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2020 season. After a long summer break, we are back for the next race in the IndyCars, and this time we're in my neck of the woods at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas for round 9 of 12. My name is Justin Sutton, and joining me it is, of course, Chris Buxton.
Glad to be back in the hot seat once again. It's been too long since we had that incredible race at Monza that saw the Benzina pair celebrate. Well, one of them certainly celebrated hard. And look at how it's affected the championship standings. Kovacic is still leading the way, but his lead strongly diminished, although still fairly healthy. Vizzy and Stefanko, they're still holding strong second and third. Then Brachada, Pastor, the second Brachada, Kujela, Siratek, Matea, and O'Reilly rounding out the top 10. Bottom end of the field still very hotly contested between each position. Korony, Verkulchek, Senel, Kostelik, and Thomas Horror running up the top 15, and Stepanovsky, Karl Varek, Blazek, Korony, and Sikora all fighting for those all valuable positions.
In the Teams Championship, it is quite close, just 15 points separating Logitech from Benzina, and then another 51 points down to Thrustmaster after their resurgence of performance recently. So lots still to play for here as we head to the race at Circuit of the Americas. These guys will be giving it their all, and I imagine Benzina is going to be pushing hard. The Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2020 Sim Racing Series returns after a summer break, so now is the perfect time to look back at the previous 8 races. A switch to iRacing, a new race format, live TV coverage on the Czech channel O2 TV Sport, and a new dominant force in the championship. Let's recap everything that's happened so far. It all began on March 28th with a team doubleheader with driver swaps. The opening round at Imola with the Mercedes-AMG GT3 cars brought us an unexpected winner. Simon Kovacic and Peter Kujela, driving for Logitech CZC.CZ eSuba team, surprised their competition with a clever one-stop strategy, while the rest of the field had to stop at least twice. Kovacic and Kujela then did an excellent job on fuel saving to win the first race of the season ahead of the Lenovo Legion and Benzina Orlen teams. The doubleheader also involved the first ever VGP race at Daytona. A night race in combination with a road course and an oval was going particularly well for the Benzina team, but Eric Vizzy couldn't survive the pressure from Logitech and made a mistake. That allowed Kovacic and Kujela to take the second win of the day. Logitech was joined on the podium by Thrustmaster and ESET. After that, it was time to switch to more traditional online races with a full grid of 20 Mercedes-AMG GT3 cars. But Kovacic seemed unstoppable. The Logitech driver won at Donington Park after leading from start to finish, and he was joined on the podium by Lucas Mateja from TP Link for the first time. Then, last year's VGP2 category champion also took a victory at a legendary Spa-Francorchamps race, as he was one of the few drivers to avoid mistakes at Blanchimont. By then, he was already leading the championship by 34 points.
Speaking of, there he is. He's had another incident at exactly the same place.
Nürburgring provided fans with a very dramatic start, and for the first time in 2020, also a safety car. However, if anybody had hoped they could stop Kovacic, they were wrong. The Logitech driver once again increased his gap and had an easy win. Then it was time to move to Japan for the final GT3 race at Okayama. Unfortunately, this circuit turned into a nightmare for Big Shock drivers, as both of them had to retire at the beginning of the race. But Kovacic continued and added a 6th win in a row. The Logitech CZC.CZ eSuba team was unbeatable in the GT3 category.
Kovacic 6 for 6 in the GT3 class. You cannot fault him. Absolutely great stuff.
The Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2020 season then moved on to single-seaters. The famous British circuit Silverstone hosted the first race of the second half of the season with an unusual team race, and it also brought the first issues for Simon Kovacic. While the favorites were Benzina, in the end it was the first victory of the season for Thrustmaster, thanks to amazing performances by David and Lucas Pichata after a breathtaking finish. The Logitech team had to settle for only second place ahead of Benzina though, despite Stefanko's pressures in the final corners. Oh, they make contact between the two of them. He tries to find the inside line as well. But Benzina team learned quickly, and the following race at Monza was a different story. First, Stefanko took a pole position, and then he had a perfect start, quickly pulling away from the rest of the field and the troubles that resulted in a disastrous first lap for Lenovo Legion. Stefanko and Vizzy then dominated the rest of the race and could celebrate their first win of the season.
Yes, you have every right to be happy about that. Your winner is Benzina Orland.
Daniel Pastor did a fabulous job and saved Lenovo Legion by finishing in a fantastic second position ahead of Thrustmaster in third.
So this is what we have to look at the wonderful Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Right in the heat of the day at 20 to 6 in the afternoon, 5.4 kilometers, 3.3 miles. And there we go, 33 degrees track temperature. It's not overly hot as far as what the cars can deal with, but it's still fairly warm. So it's going to be something that the drivers will have to contest with.
Simon Kovacic taking that pole position ahead of Eric Vizzy. Daniel Pastor in third position ahead of Lucas Pichata, who does get himself on the second row in that Thrustmaster car. His brother David Pichata starting from right behind him and ahead of Martin Stefanko as well, who starts way down in sixth position, only just ahead of Sirotech and Senal, who round out the top 8. Rounding out the top 10, we've got Kostulik in the TP Link car in ninth position ahead of Kujela in the second Logitech car in 10th. Then is Pateja in the TP Link car, Korony in the other ESET car on row 6. Jens Sikora for Autoskola Nobe actually getting a good qualifying position of 13th. I imagine he's going to be looking to convert that. He's ahead of Thomas Hora, Vukulchik, Pavel Reigl in 16th position on the 8th row of the grid. And then bringing up the rear, it is the big shock of Stepanovsky alongside Peter Kovarik. Then we got Michael Blazek, who really struggled in qualifying, starting ahead of Korony in the Mogul, bringing up the rear in 20th position. But it is the Logitech that starts on pole position, and with the Benzina right alongside. No surprise there, if we're being totally honest, as we prepare to go racing at the Circuit of the Americas, one of the newer tracks that we have on the calendar. The lights are out. It looks like a good start, actually, from the front row. Yep, the Benzina slotting into second position. They're coming under attack, though, into turn 1 as they head into the left-hander. Oh, it looks like the Lenovo Legion car can't quite pull it off. And indeed, Eric Vizzy maintains that second-place position, following very closely behind the Logitech car as they head down the hill into turn 2 and into the S section for the first time. 45 minutes of racing await us here today at Circuit of the Americas, and it looks like Eric Vizzy is not wasting any time whatsoever here, Chris. He is straight onto the back of that Logitech car. He's going to go side by side. That's into turn 6, I think it is, or was that into turn 8? That's actually turn 8, and he does. He gets the position done. Eric Vizzy takes the lead of the race. Oh, and there's been some huge problems there for Martin Kostulik. So unfortunate right at the beginning of the race. That is heavy damage.
Oh, Eric Vizzy, you've had something strong for breakfast this morning. My goodness me, what a great move on the outside of turn 8. But look at all the defending he's got to do. So both the Legion cars are right there. They're doing battle as well. Oh, with the Thrustmaster car thrown in there for good measure. Lucas Pichata losing out that third spot to Daniel Pastor. And what a start for Michael Blazek. He was 19th at the beginning of the race. Now finds himself in 12th. Great effort there. Jan Sikora as well. A great, strong qualifying for him. The Autoskola Nobe car, he's usually at the back of the field. He's struggled somewhat. But a great start for him nonetheless. That front wing, however, is not the right shape on the Blazek's car. Stefanko, very surprising qualifying for him. Not used to seeing him down on the third row. But Eric Vizzy, well. Talk about dialing into a track. Just 27 thousandths off the back of Kovarik. He now finds himself just, not far off half a second ahead by the end of the first lap. Fair play to him.
Impressive stuff. Having a look at Stefanko now, who is trying to go on the offensive on the Thrustmaster ahead of him. David Pichata just ahead in that Thrustmaster car. Don't forget, just to remind everybody, it's been a long summer, so we do have the push to pass. So these drivers will have a little bit of extra horsepower at their if they so choose to use that. So we might see Martin Stefanko making good use of that, or maybe we'll see him hold on to it for later in the race. I would imagine, though, that he's not going to be looking to hang around here. If he thinks he's faster than one or both of the Thrustmaster cars ahead of him, I think he's going to be looking to try and get past them as quickly as possible. Corny in that ESET car in 10th position, going very, very deep into that turn 11 hairpin. Lots of different lines you can take through several of the corners. The turn 11 hairpin, the turn 1 hairpin as well. Another one of those corners where you could take a lot of different lines, but Stefanko not going to make it work into the braking zone at turn 12. As we take a look at the replay, this is on the first lap heading down. This is what happened to Kostulik, actually. He went side by side, and he's moving rather slowly. And then he just gets a tap from the rear from one of the ESET cars and then gets absolutely KO'd, flipped upside down and into the barrier. But thankfully, the car does right itself, and he is able to continue on. So Martin Kostulik would have made his way back into the pits where he's going to get some repairs done, and I would imagine a new set of tires as well. I imagine that set probably not doing so good after that incident. So Kostulik able to continue, though, which we do love to see.
Absolutely, but look at this Kovacic. We've seen time and again in this season. Well, we've seeing his name on the fastest lap board until Lucas Pachada took that one. We used to see Kovacic just run off into the distance, but he seems to be really struggling to find an opportunity to attack Eric Vizzi. Now, overtaking opportunities are not necessarily that plentiful at Circuit of the Americas, but they're by no means impossible. It's no Monaco in that sense. But there are times that the drivers are going to have to think about the moves they make. But it does look like Eric Vizzi has really got the pace over Kovacic, and for a while Daniel Pastor, although he hasn't fallen that far back, was right in the wheel tracks of Kovacic as well. So we're looking at will the Logitech driver have to defend? Not at the moment, though, as the Lenovo Legion car has fallen a little way back. It does look like the top three have broken away. There it is again. And actually, it's top four, really. Lucas Pachada, he's breaking away from his brother, who is fending off Martin Stefanko for 6th position. To the top 6, not all that far apart, but it does look like we've got a bit of a breakaway going on in these top 3 or 4. And amazingly, that's Stefanko on Pachada trying to make a move for 5th. Can he get it done on the inside? You can, if you can slow it down. Yes, he does. Gets that one done before turn 16 is done. Very nice effort there. There's Senol in the Dexfin car at the back of that particular train. So you're coming back to what you were saying earlier, Justin. I don't think Stefanko is going to want to sit in the traffic for too long. It doesn't look like he's used any of his push to pass yet. They're not having to share them this time, unlike last time out at Monza, which was the team event. It is all they've got at their fingertips for their own use, and it's a second gap for Eric Vizzi now. He's having an absolute stormer.
Impressive stuff. I do wonder if Kovacic had that's an interesting view we got here of Thomas Corney as he heads into turn 1 there. And, yeah, I just saw that in the background. Was one of the ESET cars?
Yeah, it was. It was the second ESET car. It was Siritek's gone for a spin. It's so easy to do with the turn 1. The car is so light. You just come over the crest, so you're able to brake really, really quickly because you're coming uphill at an altitude I wouldn't want to climb. But then the car's really light coming back down, and it's so easy just to light up the rears, and round he went. That put him all the way down to 13th.
Yeah, that's going to be really, really troublesome. Thankfully for him, though, we do have almost 39 minutes still of racing still to go. So still positions to be gained. He's now 15 seconds behind the leaders. Just a couple of seconds adrift of Vakulchek in the Dexfin car. So, he's not going to be giving it up just yet. Mateja using the push to pass right now as we go on board with Pachada as he's trying to come back at Martin Stefanko. That's David Pachada, and he's trying to go around the outside. It's not quite worked out for him. That's Senol in the Dexfin getting very, very close to the back of that Thrustmaster car under braking as they get into turn 12, which is going to be the primary overtaking location, as Chris said. There are several places where you can overtake, but turn 12 is by far going to be the most popular one, as you would expect. And yes, you can see, actually, last lap, 0.5 of a second difference between Vizzi and Kovacic. The lap prior to that, the difference between the two of them was 1/1000th of a second. So I think Kovacic may have had an issue because I don't think Eric Vizzi actually used any push to pass. He's only used one, and it was on the lap prior to the last lap, which is now the lap before the last laps before lap. So, yeah, it's getting confusing. But anyway, the point is, I think Eric Vizzi has this. He is looking very comfortable. Now, on that last lap, actually, as they've just crossed by, started yet another lap here, 4/10 was what Kovacic was able to gain on that Benzina Orlen car ahead of him, and he has managed to pull out more of a gap on the Lenovo Legion of Daniel Pastor in third position, who does have Lucas Pichota for company. Stefanko is going to be looking to try and pull a gap to David Pichota because, of course, if he continues to battle with that second Thrustmaster car, he's going to really lose sight of those top four. At the moment, it's more than 2 seconds, which is not ideal for Martin Stefanko. Keep in mind, we're not even into the pit stop phase yet, though, so a lot of things can still happen here.
And no doubt will. I have absolutely no doubt about that. But yeah, Kovacic, I don't think is losing any drastic amounts of time. Look at the gap between himself and Pastor. That is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But look at this! Kovacic is in the wheel tracks of Eric Vizzi and barely gained anything. Absolutely barely gained. The slipstream is usually fairly strong at a track like Circuit of the Americas on a straight that is that long. I would have expected Kovacic, unless he backed off, unless he's just playing the long game, which is absolutely fair play if he is, because he doesn't want to then be immediately counter-attacked coming into turn 12. But they don't know how much push to pass each other have got. They know what they themselves have, and as you can quite clearly see, the top four are running a similar kind of idea on push to pass usage. Siratek's used 6 of them. He's down to 4 now, which that's going to lead him in for a long day later on, as we see Mateja now trying to attack Senol for 7th position. Again, Eric Vizzi with the fastest lap. So the top few guys are trading that fastest lap, but that gap is growing at a huge rate from second to third. And at the moment, I think you're right. I think Eric Vizzi has got the measure of Kovacic. It's not often we get to say that. And here is that's Vikulchik on Jan Sikora, who's again, he's having a very strong race. He's really struggled this season and very well defended coming down through turn 2 and into turn 3. It's very easy to lose your head there. As mentioned, the car gets very light. And if someone's made a pass on you into turn, Siratek had to bail on that one. I think Siratek was caught out a little bit there. I think he was just gaining a bit quicker on Vikulchik than he was expecting. He wasn't trying to make a pass. He was essentially just minding his own business and just had to bail. That was lightning quick reflexes. I'd have been on top of him. I'd have been in the car with him, I think. If that was me, I don't think I would have reacted fast enough. Although, that's Siratek making them... Oh, dear. That got a little bit ugly. He was trying to make the move into turn 11, which is the other popular spot. And that's Thomas Horrow in the Big Shot car. He's having a fairly decent run as well. And speaking of, that's Thomas Horrow trying to then make a move on Siratek for that 12th spot. Well, I can't finish any story I'm trying to come out with. There's so much going on. But yeah... Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think Vikulchik had a weird line through the S's there, and I think that's what cut off Siratek. I noticed it as he was taking those lines. He was going deep and turning in early, and all sorts of weird things were going on. I almost said it last lap when Vizzi posted the fastest lap. He is nearly flirting with the 143s, and we still have more than half a race worth of fuel in the car, so he is absolutely rapid out there.
Some tracks just suit your style. Some tracks you just like, or some tracks you just get on with. And conversely, there are some tracks that will just bite you. Will anyone that has done any kind of sim racing or real racing, there's tracks that fit into those kind of categories. And it does look like Eric Vizzi just has it all dialed in at the moment. It doesn't look like Kovacic has lost any... he wouldn't have lost any ability. He certainly wouldn't have lost any confidence. The Logitech team did not have a good run at Monza. They pitted very, very early. And Kovacic still managed to storm through and finish in 7th. Oh, here we go. It's a possible... Look how defensive Eric Vizzi's had to go there. I think he's had a bad run on the exit of turn 11, or Kovacic has decided to dump the battery. Oh, no! Oh! The lock-up of the brakes from Eric Vizzi. Oh, he's trying too hard. He's buckled under the pressure. Here comes Daniel Pastor for second. Oh, and Eric Vizzi will be livid with himself as he's having a crack at taking second back. And fair play, you're allowed to. Oh my goodness, Pichota!
Whoa!
My goodness, talk about threading the needle. Wow, that was a great move. It didn't pay off for the Thrustmaster car, but wow, that was rather out of nowhere, but opportunistic. Luca Pichota, fair play. Oh, Eric Vizzi I'm so sorry, sir. We're bigging you up and praising how well you're doing for the commentator's curse to strike. Oh no, what a shame for Eric Vizzi, just locking the brakes into turn 12 as he's trying very heavily to defend, and round he went. That's such a shame. But, Daniel Pastor now up into second position as a result of it. Fair play to him. Senol and Mateus still fighting over 7th. Oh, what a great amount of battling going on still.
Incredible stuff. Actually, Senol is having a heck of a race so far. I think it's absolutely worth pointing that out. You can see just 0.02 of a second between the TP Link and the Dexfin currently battling for 7th position. And I don't think that Mateja is that much faster than Senol. Oh, that's very, very deep for the Dexfin, and that's going to allow the TP Link to close right up to the back just before the primary overtaking location. Although I think Senol may be using a push pass there. No, actually just getting a better run through that turn 10 kink and just carrying a little bit more speed, just putting a car length or two between himself and the TP Link of Mateja behind. Let's see if either of them are going to be using any sort of push to pass. I think Mateja might be using the push to pass here, or he's getting a heck of a slipstream here. Once again, going very, very defensive. Personally, I would rather go around the outside here because then you get the inside line for turn 13, which can be very, very helpful. But again, going very deep for Senol, and he does lose out on that 7th place position, and that's a bit of a lockup there for the TP Link of Mateja. That's going to bring Senol back into this fight for 7th position. Very, very close between the two of them as they make their way through turns 15 and 16, and it does look like Mateja is going to hold on to that position for the meantime, but I have a feeling this battle is not done just yet. Eric Vizzi still behind Daniel Pastor, worth pointing out, I think, and he's got Lucas Pachata just behind him as Kovacic now becomes the first driver to dip into the 143s. I knew that was going to be coming pretty soon here, and this is that replay of what happened with Eric Vizzi. And you can see the Logitech is a car length, maybe half a car length, as they come out of turn 11. So I think you were absolutely right there, Chris. Just didn't get the exit that he needed at the most important corner on the circuit. They get so close to touching right there, and then just under braking, the back end steps out on the Benzina, and that is how he lost that position. And here comes Daniel Pastor. He moves to the right-hand side. That gives him the inside line, but then Vizzi tries for the inside line. Pastor amazingly gives him the room. I think that was actually very generous of Daniel Pastor. I don't think Vizzi was entitled to any of that space. Then we had the Kamikaze Thrustmaster up the inside, looking to grab 2 positions. Didn't quite work out for him. But I have to say, I mean, A for effort on that attempt to Lucas Pachata, because that was, I've never seen an overtake attempt like that at that location. That was a unique attempt right there. But all of that means that we now have the 2 Benzinas running back to back. Stefanko has managed to get past Lucas Pachata, actually. We missed that, I think, as we were watching the replays. So it is now Benzina in 3rd and 4th, Thrustmaster in 5th and 6th. And then it's about a 4-second gap down to that 7th place battle between Mateja and Senol that we were looking at earlier. So this is very much a 4-car group, and that is Vakulchik in the Dexfin, who is in for a stop again. Oh, that was that a Thrustmaster? I think that was Lucas Pachata. Yeah, Lucas Pachata way off the circuit there, or maybe that was David Pachata. One of the Thrustmaster cars way off at the exit of turn 18 there. And this is Blazek, who's got Stepanovsky right behind him. He's lost a couple of positions since we last checked in. I think he was up to 12th at one point, if I remember correctly. But he's still just outside the top 10, which is much better considering where he started from.
Yeah, completely. As we now jump back up to Stefanko and Lucas Pachata. I'm assuming that was David Pachata, because it's now what was that? Well, mind you, Lucas Pachata's last lap time is, if it's written like that, it means it was invalid. So he'd been off the road somewhere. So it could have actually been Lucas, but I don't think it was, as Blazek has come back into the pits, along with Korony. That's got a pretty bad day in the office for the Mogul team, unfortunately. Daniel Pastor fending off Eric Vizzi. But as Kovacic was the first man into the 43s, that kind of undoes everything I was saying earlier, that he doesn't have the pace to match Eric Vizzi. Just Kovacic biding his time, has now decided to do what he normally does and start to just ease that gap open as much as he can. As there is Lucas Pachata continuing to chase Martin Stefanko, and okay, a penalty point for Blazek. Oh, interesting. we didn't see an incident involving Michael Blazek. Hopefully we'll find out. Wow, another 19 penalty points for Blazek. So something has really gone on with the mogul car. I wonder if we'll see what that incident involved, unless it was something to do with the start, but we didn't really see anything involving Michael Blazek. There's Daniel Pastor coming in to serve his pit stop at a decent time. I'm curious on Blazek there.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I too am not sure exactly what that was for, but we'll get some clarification on that at some point. As one of the Benzinas is into the pits, and it is Martin Stefanko that is going to be coming in at we're approaching the halfway point. We're not quite at the halfway point just yet, which is maybe why Eric Vizzi has decided to stay out. I'm surprised a little bit by that decision, because I would think of all the people sort of in the top 5 or so before the pit stop phase, I would think Eric Vizzi is actually struggling with the tires the most, considering that he had that rear end lockup under braking into turn 12. That tells me that he's got some sort of tire wear issue or something like that. I mean, it could have just been a brake bias issue. Of course, these cars, you can change the brake bias on the fly, so he maybe just had a few too many clicks to the rear as he got into the braking zone for turn 12, or he was just really trying to prevent a front lockup and unfortunately ended up with a rear lockup. Certainly, I could tell you of the two which one I would prefer heading into the turn 12 braking zone at like 300 kph. I would certainly prefer a front lockup over a rear lockup. And this is Sirotech in 7th position. He's got Kovacic just ahead. Of course, Sirotech has not been in the pits yet, and Kovacic has been into the pits, and it has dropped him back into 6th position, but with clear air, crucially. Which is, of course, huge. Pitting into clear air is absolutely enormous. That's going to be super helpful for him. You can see Pastor has come out behind Sikora a couple of seconds, so he's in clear air for the moment as the other Benzina of Eric Vizzi comes into the pits for his stop just one lap later. He is followed by the Thrustmaster of Lucas Pichata. Will his brother follow him? Yes, he does. David Pichata into the pits as well. So both Thrustmasters and the leading Benzina car into the pits. Here is Kovacic just making his way into the penultimate corner now, our effective race leader, and I expect him to retake the race lead pretty effortlessly. I'm not expecting any drama here at pit exit.
No, he'll retake that fairly comfortably. There should be around about 6 to 7 seconds at a rough guess when Vizzi comes out. There he goes. He's now moving away from his pit box. As a reminder, unlike other single-seater series, in iRacing they do not have a shared pit box. Oh, wow, that's not what Vizzi wanted, although that's not what Daniel Pastor wanted either, as he was second before the pit stop phases. Actually, Stefanko's lost out. It was, and it worked better than I thought it would. And Stefanko has just nailed Lucas Pichata coming into the S's. Oh, you don't see that very often. Oh, my goodness me. That was, which one was it? It was Vizzi that got all out of shape. I actually thought it was Stefanko that got out of shape, but it wasn't. It was Eric Vizzi, because Pastor now up into second with Stefanko right on board. Well, they had shuffled around a little bit, but they've now resumed the positions they were in pre-pit stop. As more penalty points for Blazek. Hopefully we get to see what is going on with the mogul car before long, as there's now this big slipstream train behind Daniel Pastor, who is using push to pass to try and defend against it. Is Vizzi going to try and banzai that one on the inside? He does. Nicely done for Eric Vizzi. He'd use enough room, but is Pastor going to try and... Oh, wow. Great effort from pair of them. Eric Vizzi still nosing in the lead, because Stefanko nearly rams into the back of the Legion car as they now come through 15-16. And I tell you what, Lucas Pichata's got a great ringside seat for this entire sequence going on. But well played, Eric Vizzi. He was determined to have that one. Stefanko still looking to make his way past Daniel Pastor. Great racing from the quartet, although Lucas was rather a spectator in the entire sequence going on. Well played, Eric Vizzi and Daniel Pastor. Brilliantly done.
Impressive stuff. I tell you as well, Benzina, I imagine, are driving for the team right now. Again, it's a pretty big gap in the Drivers' Championship. Oh, is Pastor looking up the inside? Can he find that inside line? No, he can't quite make it on Eric Vizzi. Eric will hold on to that position. Martin Stefanko right behind. I thought for a moment he might be looking to make a move into the S section, into turn 3, but in the end he decided to follow suit, which I think is the right call. That's probably a veteran decision there. Martin Stefanko has done enough sim racing to know that going side by side into turn 3 is not something you want to do, especially if you're on the same strategy as somebody. And they did come in on the same lap, so they're on the exact same tires. Very, very similar setups, I would imagine, as well, too. So, that was wise of Martin Stefanko, who is, again, just a very well-known sim racer in the community, knows what he's doing, decided against that. He's got a great view here of Daniel Pastor, who's looking to make the move. Once again, I think this is not necessarily the right call from Vizzy to try and defend the inside line into turn 12. If Pastor can hang it around the outside, he gets the inside line for 13, but no, it hasn't quite worked out that way for him. Martin Stefanko looking to go around the outside of turn 13 now, but can't quite make that work. Is he going to look to go around the outside of 15 and 16? He's looking out there, but it's a difficult place. He's going the long way around. He's found that inside line, though, for the double right-handers. That is absolutely crucial for Martin Stefanko. He does, in fact, move ahead of Daniel Pastor up into third position, and that is huge for the team's championship, I tell you, because the second Logitech of Kujela is dropping like a stone. Last I checked, he was in 14th, now he's in 17th. I don't know what's going on with Kujela, but he has dropped way, way down the order, and we've now got 2 Benzinas in the podium positions. It doesn't matter that Kovacic is 11 seconds up the road. That is a bigger points haul for Benzina, and that would be good news for Kovacic in the Drivers' Championship, of course, but for Benzina Orland, who are only 15 points behind in the team's championship, this is exactly what they want.
What a move from Martin Stefanko. He made it look so effortless.
He did.
But he knew exactly what he was doing. There was no huge twitching, correcting moves going on in there. He knew exactly the line he wanted, and he committed to it early. Very, very well played. And also from Pastor. Whoa! That's a big old move from the Siratech. I wouldn't say that was a dive, but oh no! That was going so well. That's not the first time we've seen that issue. But again, it's just as you come over that crest, the car goes very light. The contact on the rear wheels just loosens that little bit, and round it goes. Jan Sikora gets to breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief there. Now back up to this great quartet going on. Eric Vizzy's got himself a second's gap over his teammate, who, for once, is Stefanko playing rear gunner to Eric Vizzy. But we haven't seen an awful lot of that way round in this season. Oops, someone's locked up there. I'm not sure which one of the Benzinas that was. But again, Pastor's got to be careful, because Lucas Prachada has proven quite punchy and ready to make a move if the opportunity presents itself. We're not expecting them to come into the pits again, so if this carries on to the flag, yes please, I'll have some of this.
Yeah, I think we're in for a real show. We just ticked under 20 minutes to go in this race. As Chris said, we don't expect any more stops, as Kovacic now starting to encounter some traffic. Worth pointing out that Vakulchik and Korny still in the pits, by the way. That's not something that we've kind of touched on yet, but unfortunately only 18 cars still remaining in this race here at Circuit of the Americas for the 2020 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP season. Daniel Pastor down in 4th, fell out of that podium position after the Benzina cars proved a little bit too much for him to handle. Can he stay ahead of Lucas Pachada? As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, the resurgence that we've seen from the Thrustmaster drivers has been truly incredible. Really been on form this season. They're not quite, or haven't, throughout the entirety of the season, they haven't quite been at that Logitech Benzina level, but they're kind of just getting there. So, I mean, I really think as we get into the tail end of this season, those Thrustmasters cars can be more and more of a headache to the Benzina cars and to Kovacic in particular, and the Logitech. Again, Kujela having a bit of a difficult time. We've seen some really fantastic drives from Kujela in the past, but unfortunately for him, just not going that well today. Down in 17th position, we can see Pavel Rigel in the second Lenovo Legion car into the pits at the moment from 14th position. I imagine he's going to be losing at least those 3 positions to Kovarik, Blazek, Kujela. Sikora, we mentioned as well, having a great race out there, but look at that. Sirosek has already caught up to the back of him. He went for a 360 spin at turn 1, and he's already caught back up to Sikora. That has got to be a little bit disappointing. If you're Sikora, to know that the car behind you has spun and already closed that gap back up. So I don't know if Sikora is going to be able to hold on to that position, but again, a 12th place finish would be a solid result for Sikora, considering the season that he's been having. He's another serious veteran of this league, and we know what he is capable of, but it seems to me that the switch to iRacing is possibly what caught him out.
Could well be. I mean, the simulator will behave very, very differently to Assetto Corsa that they were running in previous seasons. So the feel of it, the way the engine works, the way the handling model is, will be very, very different. Even though they've run the GT3 cars, which has always been the main consistent element in these. Stepping off, I thought was running a little slowly. Yeah, there he is. There is the hairy man himself. So we can see how, look at the focus in his face. So much so he doesn't know what his bottom lip's doing, I don't think. Looking at that. But it's good to see that we get these little insights into how they go about their racing, essentially, from the focus you can see in his face and nothing else really going on around him. As we jump back to Siritak, who is chasing Jan Sikora still for that 11th position. Coming back to what you were saying earlier as well about Thrustmaster, they very much have been best of the rest. Behind the likes of Benzina and Logitech, and they've been there pretty regularly as well. As coverages, I thought coverages were coming into the pits again. That pit marker does come up sometimes as they do cross over that pit entry line, as the ESET car is making a move on the Autoscola Nobe car and does. He's really you shouldn't really be weaving that heavily. Yeah, might earn the ire of the stewards doing that. You shouldn't really be making that many defensive manoeuvres, but okay, fair enough.
He's keen.
Determined, certainly, to hang on to that position as Blazek has brought his car into the pits. I do wonder whether that's the last we'll see of the Mogul car, as we were seeing the penalty point counter really rising for him. So Jan Sikora still having a fairly strong race compared to, like I was saying earlier, his season really hasn't gone very well, as the top pack seems to have sorted itself out now. The Benzina pair have broken away from Pastor and Lucas Pachada, the lead Thrustmaster car, as Jan Sikora is now just doing his best to stay in the wheel tracks of the ESET car. Here is Lucas Pachada still keeping the pressure on Daniel Pastor for 4th place. There we go. So that top 4 has broken apart a little bit. Behind, we can see Matasia and Senol for 7th and 8th, and T. Billing and Dexpin cars, I believe. Oh, you're going to see him move from Lucas? No, he's a little bit too far back. But he's staying right there, isn't he? He's just keeping the pressure on. And we've seen just how costly mistakes can be.
Yeah, in fact, I think the big difference, as we'll have a quick look here, but I was going to say the big difference between all of these top sort of 6 guys has been mistakes. That's Blazek going a bit off the circuit at the penultimate corner. Turn 19 can be deceptive. Oh, no! And he's I hate to say it, but he's done a Stefanko, and he's spun at the pit entrance, in the pit entrance lane, but he didn't get stuck like Martin Stefanko did at Spa that one time, and I'm sure Martin will not appreciate me bringing that up. But yeah, I just wanted to point out, it was about 6 seconds between the Pachada brothers at the end of the pit stops, and you can see now it's about 6 seconds still. So that tells us that David Pachada is about as fast as Lucas Pachada. Lucas Pachada has not really been able to overtake Daniel Pastor, so he's about the same speed as Daniel Pastor. Vizzy was about 11 seconds off of Kovacic. Now, he has been involved in some battling and stuff like that. He's had a fair share of mistakes. He had that issue, of course, earlier in the race, which kind of ended that battle for the lead, unfortunately. But my point is, they're all pretty much the same sort of speed. There's very, very little difference. The time gaps that we're seeing from 1st to 2nd, from 3rd to 4th, from 5th to 6th, almost all of those gaps are down to mistakes. Small mistakes, big mistakes, whatever it might be. Those gaps are just purely down to mistakes as we get a look at Martin Stefanko, who's got some fancy lighting in his room. I like fancy lighting. But yeah, it's mistakes, as you said, just as you said, Chris. It's small mistakes that have made the difference here at Circuit of the Americas. It is a very technical track, very strange corners to it, if you really think about it. I mean, this whole section, this infield section, is a lot of like, you know, a very tight corner followed by a slightly wider corner, followed by a wider corner, followed by a slightly tighter corner. You know what I mean? Like, the lines are all over the place, and it's very strange, and you don't get that downforce, which is why we're seeing Like we saw the spin from Sirotech at turn 1. You're not getting any sort of downforce at turn 1. The car goes light at the top of the hill, as you pointed out as well too. So it's very easy to make mistakes. I pointed out the penultimate corner as well too. Turn 19 is deceptively difficult. People get caught out at professional racing drivers get caught out at turn 19 all the time. Some people might think, oh, it's just a slightly more than 90-degree angle corner. Oh, that is a stationary Autoscola node car. I don't know if that was Kovarik or if that was Sikora. I think that was Kovarik, which is good because Sikora is, of course, having that great day out there. So I would be really disappointed, actually, if Sikora was the one that had gone round. But yeah, it's a difficult track. These are difficult cars, and it doesn't matter how good the drivers are. Mistakes are going to happen, and that's been the difference between the top 6.
Yeah, absolutely. As we are on board with Lucas Bucciardo as he continues to chase the tail fin of the Lenovo Legion car. These top 4 really are spread out to a point where they're not going to challenge. Oh, and again, talking about little mistakes. There was the tail beginning to let go on the Thrustmaster car there. Lucas Bucciardo was very much on top of that. So each of these drivers are basically doing what they can to keep up with the one in front of them. Eric Vizzi just essentially minding his own business. He probably isn't going to feel under a lot of pressure from Stefanko unless they talk to each other and agree to swap round. I can't imagine Stefanko is going to try and force the issue. You never know. Teammates do race one another. But I don't reckon this battle is done yet. I think Lucas Bucciardo is going to be having a go at Daniel Pastor before the checkered flag falls. He's getting close to it now. Look at the last lap times as well, which you were mentioning earlier, Justin, about how consistent the lap times are as Kovacic once again reaffirms his pace at the top of the tree. Look at that, just 600ths of a second between them last time around. It does look like Lucas Bucciardo, though, is beginning to manoeuvre into a position to attack the Lenovo Legion car as we jump to Senol and Corony having an argument for 8th place. The Dexfin and ESET cars doing what they can to maintain their spots in the top 10. We haven't had a great deal of opportunity to look further down the field. Here's that lovely VR shot from Thomas Corony, which is great to see.
Yeah, love to see these views, honestly.
Yeah.
It's truly fantastic. And you really do get that kind of like driver's eye view of it, because you can see him turning, looking to the right as he turns for a right-hand corner, looking to the left as he turns into the S section. And for those that don't sim race or don't do real life racing, I mean that second part is almost all of us. It really gives you an idea of what it's like to actually drive at Circuit of the Americas, not just virtually, but to actually go to Circuit of the Americas, which is the racetrack I've been to the most. I've never driven it. I've never even driven around it. I've only walked on it, which is a much slower pace than what we're sort of seeing here today. And it all kicks off with that giant hill as well, too. It's almost better to walk it backwards, I tell you. It's the other direction. It's a little bit easier. But, yeah, I mean, these guys are doing a fantastic job. And we are getting into the tail end of the season. So I'm really impressed with the maturity level of the drivers and how respectful they have been of each other. I mean, we saw how close the cars have gotten to each other without making any sort of contact. It's really been incredible. We have seen a couple of contact moments, but more often than not, we've seen really close, fair, side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel racing without any sort of contact, and that's what we love to see.
Some more pit stops coming in as we have got Kovacic, Stefanko and Pastor have brought their cars in. Here was that wonderful VR shot again from Thomas Corony. Oh, look at that. Right ahead of him, Senol getting very much out of shape. Now into the pits. That's where Michael Blasek had an argument with the pit wall. Yeah, you got to feel sorry for Stefanko. He's never going to live that down. That wonderful C9 buried in the wall sideways at Spa. That was such a shame. He was having a fairly decent race. That car is so hard to control.
Yeah, I've tried to drive that car in Assetto Corsa before, and it is tough.
It's hard work. I've tried it in different sims. It's as hard as you think it is. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely incredible. And you'll assess, you've been to Circuit of the Americas a few times. The cameras don't do justice as to how steep that particularly turn 1 is.
Yeah. They really don't. I mean, it's like a 6 or 7 or 8 story building, something like that. I mean, the cameras really don't do justice. It maybe has to do with the field of view FOV on the cameras that it just tightens it up, so it just doesn't look quite as tall. I'm not sure the reasoning behind it, but yeah, it is quite the climb to get up there, just from where the start-finish line is, and it's an eighth of a mile, or a quarter of a kilometer, something like that. You climb quite high quite quickly.
So here is Eric Vizzi not bringing his car in this time around. He's generally pitted one lap after his teammate. He's not done it this time. He's not going to go to the end, is he?
Are they? Yeah, maybe the Thrustmasters are too. Maybe they're one-stopping.
Well, we will see. I mean, if Eric Vizzi is doing a one-stop, we've seen it before. It wouldn't be the first time that a one-stop has been tried. But I would imagine that this is a very tyre-hungry track, so... We will see. I mean, if Eric Vizzi can pull it off, then he has just done a masterstroke of strategy. We will see. As Matasia and Senol bring their cars in from 5th and 6th, respectively. Eric Vizzi continuing to work his way through the twisties, throughout turns 2 through to 9, and down to turn 11, heavy on the brakes. So now, I wonder if you'll think about it, because again, there's only, it's just under 7 minutes to go. That's going to be 4 laps at most. I guess he's going to be thinking, could I do it? And he's going to have to make that decision. But equally, we don't know if he's been... Well, we haven't really seen him have an opportunity to back off because he's been surrounded by people all race long. Here is Kovacic. He is going to be putting everything, turning everything up to 11, pushing the foot through the firewall to close in. He's got nothing to lose. Any push the passes he's got left, etc., etc. This is going to be qualifying laps for Kovacic. Does Vizzi have enough in the tank? This will be interesting.
And will the Pachata brothers provide enough of a mobile chicane for Kovacic to slow him down as well? I think you are right, though. I think it is going to be 4 more laps. Nope.
There we go.
And Vizzi's coming into the pits with 6 laps to go. So I don't know if he was trying to go for it and then just realized that he wasn't going to be able to. I have a feeling it's due to fuel. Because, if his tires were just a little bit worn, he would continue on, no doubt about it. I mean,
right.
his lap time difference wasn't big enough to warrant that. But, he must have been on the limit as far as fuel is concerned, and Kovacic will retake the lead that was rightfully his. He has really driven a flawless race here today, so not surprised at all to see Kovacic retake the lead. It does look like it's going to be pretty exciting at the pit exit. That's Stefenko side by side with the Thrustmaster. Goes around the outside. He's got Daniel Pastor just ahead of him. Can he do something about the Lenovo Legion car up ahead into turn 2 or 3? No, it doesn't look like it. He's going to have to stay behind for the meantime. So Stefenko filters out into, what is that, 4th position now? I think that is 4th position. Oh no! Oh no! Was that contact? Or I wasn't looking at Vizzi. I was looking at Stefenko. I just saw the red and white blur go off the screen as Eric Vizzi goes off. Oh, and here we go. Stefenko going side by side. That's through turn 10 at the exit of turn 9, down into the turn 11 hairpin, and he's done it. He's made the overtake, and it looks like the Thrustmaster has as well too. I didn't even notice that. Lucas Pachata also moving ahead of the Lenovo Legion car. So 2 positions lost for Daniel Pastor. That is really unfortunate for him. Or no, is that Pavel Rigel a lap down, actually? I think that might be.
It was Rigel just basically, I'll say wrong place, wrong time, just being unfortunately caught by, Stefenko Pachata. I thought that was Pastor as well.
Yeah.
Pastor's actually, he's actually behind Vizzi, so he's had trouble, or he's fighting with Eric Vizzi for 4th. We can't see at the moment. So so it was the other Lenovo Legion car that was getting in the way. Here it is, Eric Vizzi again. I think he lost it on his own. Let's have a look. Yeah, so the tail's gotten a little bit light coming through turn 8.
Overcorrected.
He's gone to... Yeah, and he's just overcorrected it. It's just gripped up at the wrong time for him and sent him off into the dust. That's a great shame. He was on for... He would have deserved 2nd position the way he's driven. But, just those little mistakes. Again, under pressure. It's such a shame for Eric Vizzi. But it's only going to be onwards and upwards, I think, for the youngster.
And for those, I mean, Chris, we both have a little bit of experience driving in iRacing, and certainly for those at home who maybe don't have experience with iRacing, we can certainly tell you that oversteer in iRacing is very much sort of like an on-off sort of thing. There's very little in the way of it's not very gentle. You know, you lose grip and it's all gone, and then all of a sudden those rear tires grip back up again and you have maximum grip. You know, there's very little of a transition from one to the other. It's very, very on-off sort of thing. And yeah, I think Vizzy unfortunately just got caught out with that, as we have another replay here. What's happened here? This is onboard with Pastor into turn 1, so that must be Eric Vizzy up ahead. Absolutely sends it up the inside, does manage to grab the position. That was an absolutely incredible overtake, actually, from Daniel Pastor. I think that was completely, firm but fair. From Daniel Pastor. I think that was very well deserved. He moves himself up into 4th position with that overtake at turn 1. He's only a couple of tenths, though. Actually, he's alongside of the Benzina. He's got the inside line through the left-hander there. Vizzy's going to get the better exit, though. Takes that very late apex, but then he's going to be forced to the outside through the double right-handers of turns 17 and 18, which is unfortunately very difficult to go around the outside of. He's going to be looking to the inside line at the penultimate corner. Oh, no! He was already spun around, but Vizzy gives him an extra little boost there and spins him all the way. I think he actually helped Pastor there by bumping him and putting him into the full 360, because I think Daniel would have come to a stop and would have had to spun himself around there. So I think Eric Vizzy actually unintentionally kind of helped out Daniel Pastor with that one. And that is going to put the Thrustmaster of David Pachada right behind him. So we now have a 3-car battle for 4th position. Meanwhile, Stefanko and Lucas Pachada are now the only 2 remaining to battle for that 2nd place position.
Very much so. Also, when these single-seaters lose traction, when they get it again, it's violent.
Yeah.
It's exactly as you described it. You're never going to find these things drifting. That's a big incident. Is that Pastor? That's Daniel Pastor. Oh no! From such a strong position, and now huge damage to the front of his car. Well, I mean, he's just going to have to limp it home, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, what a shame for Daniel Pastor.
I think there's another lap left too.
Oh, that's going to be painful for him. But yeah, coming back to what I was saying earlier, we didn't really see what caused Pastor's accident, but you won't see these things going at 40 degrees into a corner. The GT3 cars are a bit more forgiving. They've got a bit more suppleness in the chassis. Not that you should attempt to drift 45 degrees around a corner in a GT3 car either, but you're more likely to be able to do it as, final lap now. The white flag is out. Oh, Daniel Pastor, that is going to be painful for you. As there is David Pachada in 5th position now, pretty much on his own. Oh, Pastor's parked it!
Oh, no.
Oh, man. I can't really blame him for that. He's pulled over and decided enough's enough. Would he have been able to beat that position? I doubt it, to be honest. He'd have probably been so far down the field, having fought that car all the way around the field, and it probably would have been dangerous. Yeah. So I can't really blame Daniel Pastor for that. That's a great shame. For more retirements this race, and we have done a lot of the season, actually. Yeah. That's the 4th car that is not going to see the flag. Once again, Kovacic, who can, other than when something has upset his race, like last time out at Monza, he wasn't the first in the car. It was Kujela who had a very early pit stop, and Kovacic had so much of a time deficit to fight back that he couldn't have won it from that far. Kovacic has only not been on the top step twice. One of those was the second, which was Silverstone, and last time out at Monza. So, who can dethrone this man?
I mean, again, the pace is there for a number of these drivers, but unfortunately the consistency is what has been lacking, and it might be iRacing, it might be this Dallara IndyCar. It doesn't matter what it is, though. It is clicking together for Kovacic in the Logitech CZC.CZ eSuba team. He takes another victory, over 11 seconds ahead of Martin Stefanko, who comes from 6th on the grid to finish 2nd on the podium, ahead of Lucas Pichota. It's another Thrustmaster on the podium as well. Again, I can't say enough about the Pichota brothers and the performances they've been putting in. In fact, both of them in the top 5, both Benzinas in the top 5 as well, too. A disappointing day for Lenovo Legion after Daniel Pastor crashes out on the penultimate lap. Corney with a fantastic race, actually. He see, consistency gets him positions in the end. He's just shy of a top 5 finish. Senol with a fantastic race as well. Thomas Hora in the Big Shock team, who has had a difficult season as well. Big Shock has had a really tough time so far this year, but it is going to be a top 10 finish for Thomas Hora in that Big Shock car. And this is Sikora, who is another driver that's been struggling recently. He's looking at another top 10. So it's been absolute chaos outside of the top 6 or so. And we're seeing a lot of upsets here. Sirotech, who is arguably faster. Oh, is he going to actually make an overtake for 13th position here? Oh, it's very close between the two of them as they get down into the turn 11 braking zone for the final time in this race.
So there it is. Familiar names at the top of the tree. Here's Simon Kovacic for Logitech in the first, Martin Stefanko for Benzina in second, and Lucas Pichota for Thrustmaster in third spot. Well done to you guys. Then Eric Vizzi 4th, David Pichota 5, Thomas Corney 6th, Stanall in 7th, Mateja 8, Torres Horror 9, and Jan Sikora finishing 10th in the end. Fastest lap, unsurprisingly, going to the mighty force that is Simon Kovacic for Logitech. Well done to all of our drivers, because it's been a difficult day throughout the field. Sirotech 11, Stepanovsky 12, Pavel Rigel 13, Kostadin 14, Pastor 15, Kujela 16, Kovarik in 17th, and non-finishers Blazek, Vukovic, and Korony.
What a race, as you said, just absolutely insane. It was much crazier than what we've seen recently, and again, I think that might have to do with the car, the track. There's a number of things that can cause that, but Simon Kovacic continues to extend that lead, now 47 points ahead of Eric Vizzi, who is 15 points ahead of his teammate Martin Stefanko after Stefanko gets the better run here today at Circuit of the Americas. They're only just ahead of the two Thrustmaster drivers. Daniel Pastor slipping down into 6th position after that difficult day today, though. A little bit further back, we've got some movement as the Autoscola Nobe cars ahead of the Moguls after a really disappointing day for the Mogul team, now down in last position. But it is very tight. Only 20 points separating 13th from 19th. So lots still to play for, with lots of racing still to go as well. In the Teams Championship, I did mention it was going to get closer. It is indeed. Only 7 points between the Logitech team and Benzina after their two drivers finished in the top 5. And then same for Thrustmaster. 2 drivers in the top 5, 253 points, 63 points ahead of Lenovo Legion after their difficult day today. That is going to do it for the race here at Circuit of the Americas. I want to say a big thanks to Chris Buxton and the entire VGP team. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. For myself, Justin Sutton, we will see you next time for round 10 of the 2020 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP season.